Welcome to your entertainment science fiction programming network, your entertainment sci-fi programming network. And we say buenos dias, bonjour, zao an, zao sheng hao, ohayo gozaimasu, and welcome. So, as a superhero, how do you keep from losing your mind? How do you keep your mind sharp? We're talking about things like exhaustion after hours and hours of saving lives and fighting. Exhaustion leads to meltdown, leads to breakdowns. As superheroes, nobody's paying you to be a superhero. It's not a paid occupation, right? So you're doing it on your own. And so you're thinking, I'm giving and giving and giving, both mental and physical. And you're not getting paid for it. You're seeing things that no one else is seeing because they don't have the ability to lift buildings that are falling on top of people that you have the ability to do and see dismemberment, destroyed bodies, crushed bodies. You have to lift miles and miles and miles of trucks and cars. Right? You go to work, and then you work overtime, and then you go save lives. You use your superpowers, you use your intuitions. We just talked about that in the podcast before this one. If you missed it, go back into the TheAquaPhi podcast episodes and listen to it. Make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, and right below like, make sure to comment. We're not getting enough sufficient comments, right? Comment, 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 comment. Everybody put their comments in. And then there could be a great interchange of responding to comments. So put your comments in. But right underneath like first, and then say whatever you want after you like. So make sure to share also. So you're watching this video, you like it, and you think, oh, Uncle would like it, or Aunt. So make sure to send it to them, share with them, right? They might be mainstream. Oh, this is a great bootleg video I like to watch. We'd like to become mainstream also. So send them over to the mainstreamer, let them look at it, let them share. So share with everybody, send it to them. We like this great, you love this subject. Of course, it falls under science fiction, right? We're your entertainment science fiction programming network. But this subject, for instance, or lots of subjects we talk about in the realms that everybody needs to know about. How to keep your mind from going into exhaustion, meltdown, PTSD, schizophrenia. So everyone would like to hear that. Right? So it's not just the realm of science fiction only, although this is the realm that we navigate in. So we're using our superpowers, we're using our intuition, and we need to keep our brains sharp at all times. The brain controls everything and has to stay sharp, especially for the things that you do and how much you do. We can't go home after saving countless of lives and lifting trucks and cars and buildings and seeing things that nobody else sees. The mutilation, the destruction. You can't go home and drink all night, drink days. You can't do the Nora Jones thing. You can't. You have to keep your mind alert. You have to keep your mind sharp because there's no downtime. You never know when the next call to action is going to be. So in the Avengers, when the Avengers meet to discuss their fights against their enemies and they drop a building on a kid who was going to college and they talk about that. They talk about how it makes them feel. That meeting, whether they knew it or not, served as therapy. That meeting is called group therapy. So group therapy helps mental healing. It helped individual members of the Avengers heal mentally, feel that they're not alone, they're not battling alone, they're not fighting by themselves. Each Avenger talked about what affected them, what they saw, how things could be better. When you keep it inside of you, when you do things and you keep it inside of you, it eats at you. And then it's followed by PTSD. And it used to be that PTSD was just war veterans coming back from war, seeing the horrors that they see when they saw when they were out there, and then it became police officers, and then it became firefighters, and then it became all frontline workers. Divorce now, in the atrocities of that, can lead to PTSD. So when you see as a superhero, you see war type events, the type of things that war veterans see, you see it. Blood, fights, destruction, mental wellness is tantamount. But then you say, I'm the only hero out there. There's no one else like me. The only one that tapped into my internal hero abilities and I'm saving others. There's no other Hancock like me. So if you missed that lad podcast that we talked about and the one that you tapped into and then you followed and now you're a superhero, go back and listen to it. If you're on YouTube, the AquaPhi podcast episodes, go into that episode and watch it. Uh, if you're on Anchor, then we're on Google Cast, Overcast, Spotify, Apple, Anchor, and watch the ones that you've missed. But for all the ones that you watch, make sure to go below and like. You subscribe, you like, you go below like. After you like, then make your comments. Make comments, and share as we talk about. Share with everybody. Talk to others. Show how this podcast, it's really interesting. Share it with people. Go into TheAquaPhi.com, as you see here, TheAquaPhi.com, and purchase your novel. See how the novel looks, front and back, relaxing cover, easy to read, nice big pages. Purchase your novel. And it talks about what they do to maintain the crew in the Aqua Phi, what they do to maintain mental wellness, and how that's important to them because the powers and abilities they have is their thinking abilities. So they need to keep their minds sharp at all times. So it's a building thing to keep to read so that you can keep doing the same thing in your being a superhero, keeping your mind sharp. So go into theaquaphi.com, purchase a novel, and if you look at this is a poster here. That poster can come on the AquaPhi merchandise. Have your AquaPhi t-shirt with this poster, and you'll find many other posters that relate to the book in there, and you purchase your merchandise that goes along with that with that poster. So learn how the crew in AquaPhi sticks together. And that is group therapy. Look for others like yourself. There are others like yourself that are saying what you're saying. They're saying, I'm the only Hancock. There's no one else like me. And when you guys come together, put this crew together, your superhero crew. do your Batman research and put this team together. And when that team comes together, it's going to serve to protect your mental health. When the Justice League united, because Batman did his research, and the Justice League came together, and they talk about how difficult it was to apprehend the last villain, how certain villains match up better with certain type of skills, and how they can battle better the next time, what they can do differently in the next confrontation, whose powers matches up better with what criminals. So all these strategies that they're using, yes, all this planning that they're doing, yes, but unknowingly, here's what's happening: group therapy, right? So don't try individual therapy, not with what you're dealing with. Can you imagine if you go to your therapist and he has no clue, he's never watched any of this podcast, and he has no clue? If he hasn't watched the podcast, make sure you share it with him so he can watch it. But then he has no clue what it takes to be a superhero, right? Dispensing electricity, dispensing fire, apprehending criminals, having super speed. And you're talking to him about these things that you're going through. And what is he going to say to you? Stop doing it. That's all. Stop doing it. Stop shooting electricity. Stop shooting fire. Stop stopping bullets. Just stop. And then he's going to prescribe you medication. So the individual therapy, you want like people that are going through what you're going through. In the Avengers, when the Secretary of State in the Captain America Civil War wants the Avengers to come under the control of the United Nations, so the United Nations can use the powers of the Avengers. You have civilians have no idea what these superpowers are about, are now going to control superpowers. So you're better off in group therapy, not with civilians who have no idea what you're going through, no idea what it's like to be heroes like yourself. So grouping together with a group of heroes like yourself gives you a voice. People who understand what you're going through, people like you that can comprehend. If you're talking about, I put my wingsuit on and I was going at 250 miles per hour, they understand. So form this group called the name you give it. And it's going to help you. It's going to help other members of the group. That group therapy is so important for what we're going through. The last podcast, we just talked about all the mass shootings, people who go through that, the heroes that stopped it. Get together, talk about it. And make sure you share what we just talked about with your family, with your friends, with others, non-sci-fi people. This subject is so important. The subject before this was much important as well. So sometimes I feel like somebody's watching me. Could it be the IRS watching me? Could it be the FBI watching me? Are my exes watching me? Are we being watched? Are we being listened to? On the next podcast.